You're proving to us the mindset of founding fathers.
Yes.
We're moving into the mid-1800s, but the intent and the original intent based upon fact of original documents sitting right here on this set right now.
Well, that's why they called themselves the Republican Party. They want to go back to the original intent. They want to go back to the founding. And so they believed all of these laws were consistent with what the founders had tried to do in those early laws.
Wow.
So this is a reflection of original intent, even though it's 70 years later.
We had moved away 70, 80 years. We had moved really far away from the original intent of the Founding Fathers, and this was a correction of that pendulum.
That's right.
Yeah.
That 35 years in Congress from 1820 to 1854, 1855, Democrats were reversing a lot of the early laws. They said, you know, George Washington said no slavery in federal territories. We don't like that law. You know, 1808, at that time under Thomas Jefferson, Congress passed this law that said no more slave trade. We don't like that law. So they went through and take all these laws that were passed early federal Congresses by the Founding Fathers and said, we disagree with all that. We're going a different direction.
Wow.
So it's a complete reversal. So the Republican Party says, no, we're going back to the principles of the Republic. That's why they call themselves Republican Party. So there was a period of time we got away. Now we're headed back. And significantly, we come to an election in 1864 while we're still at war. Now, what's interesting is all these Southern Democrats have seceded and formed their own state. So it's going to be pretty easy to guess who's going to win the election. I mean, the Republicans now have the majority because they're still in the Union. This is a significant document right here. It's a very delicate document, if I can pick it up. This is a platform of the Republicans and the Democrats in 1864. That little jewel right there sets forth the Republican platform and the Democrat platform. But what makes this significant, this is the first document that called for a constitutional amendment to end slavery.
Oh my God.
See what happened? They said, well, we're passing all these civil rights laws, but it's just taking too long. Let's just get a constitutional amendment and stop this thing right now.
And what year was that?
This is 1864. You see, what happened as a result of this election, Republicans got back in power, and they promptly introduced the 13th Amendment to abolish slavery. So they're put back in power, they promised to do it, and they introduced the 13th Amendment, and significantly, they voted on the 13th Amendment to abolish slavery while the Civil War is still going on. So we're talking in January and February of 1865, they have the vote in the House and the Senate to abolish slavery. Now, at that time, there were 200 members of Congress, Democrat and Republican, because at that time you still had all the Northern Democrats in. So all the Northern Democrats are still in Congress. Southern Democrats have their own nation now. Northern Democrats still in. So you got Northern Democrats and Republicans, 200 members of Congress. 137 members voted to abolish slavery. When they voted, shortly after the vote, this was produced nationally. This right here is a picture of all 137 members of Congress who voted to abolish slavery. Everyone. And it's got Abraham Lincoln right at the center because he was leading the charge on the 13th Amendment. Now, under the Constitution, a president has no role in a constitutional amendment.
Wow.
The president does nothing. This is the only constitutional amendment in American history signed by a president of the United States. He did it symbolically to say, I know I've got nothing to do with passing the amendment officially, but I want you to know I'm behind this. So he signed it. Now, at that time, you had 118 members of Congress that were Republican. You had 82 members of Congress that were Democrat. As it turns out, 118 out of 118 Republicans voted to end slavery. Only 19 out of 82 Northern Democrats voted to end slavery. So that's why you only have 137. You see, you have 23% of Democrats in the North who want to end slavery. 3/4 didn't, but you have 100% of Republicans who want to end slavery. So the 13th Amendment is passed. It goes to the states. It is ratified.